The Portfolios of the Poor research conducted diligently over a long period of time in very diverse contexts of South Africa, India, and Bangladesh provides very explicit accounts of how each of these 250 families is dealing with the small income and regular and irregular expenditure and investments that they are able to or are forced to make over the period of a year. And because the research is done over a longer period of time, and because of the trust, credibility, and prior knowledge acquired from previous visits, the researchers are able to get into much more detail and accuracy than would be possible in one or two interviews. So we have better quality information and insights, and this then can be used by financial services provider to get a much more intimate understanding of what the customers are going through in their lives. Poor people have small income is well known, but the fact that this is very irregular and has huge variations is not so well known. This is made quite explicit through the research. The uncertainty of this income causes extreme anguish and tensions for these families because they know that they have further expenditure coming and how they are going to cope with that. In terms of Indian microfinance, the competition is definitely growing, both in terms of the encouragement and pressure from the central bank, as well as the opportunities which many microfinance service providers are seeing. But increasing competition also means the need for even better awareness of what your customers really want. And Portfolios of the Poor helps the senior managers of these banks and microfinance institutions and cooperatives to understand their customers. Of course, they are interacting with customers all the time, but traditionally in India, it was a supplier's market. Demand was much higher than supply, and so therefore suppliers could, to an extent, get away with just offering what the products they had, and customers had to lap it up. But as the competition increases, the suppliers of financial services, that is banks, microfinance institutions, will have to become much more customer focused, much more respond to customer need. And this is a useful research which helps some of these market come alive for the financial services providers and policymakers. Financial products are designed by the financial services providers, the banks, the microfinance institutions. But they have to be used and to be suitable for the users, the consumers of financial services, that is, the poor households. The more accurately the providers of financial services understand the context in which these poor people are operating, the better they will get the response from the customers. After all, for a long time, many of us assume that most poor households were involved in setting up enterprises, starting a small business, or expanding a business. While some of that is true, that's not the only reality of the poor households. Many of the poor households do prefer to be in wage employment or to work for somebody else. And if that understanding is incomplete or inaccurate, that will obviously affect what financial services we offer. So, in this particular case, the Portfolios of the Poor, what it has done is it has created different typology of financial services users amongst the poor household: the construction worker, the elderly worker, the rural farmer. And this actually is a useful microscope under which the financial services product designers can test whether their product is likely to appeal to be of much use to this particular families or such families. Of course, financial services providers need not provide financial products to everybody, but it is good to define which market they want to serve and within that market, which needs they are best addressed to meet. For example, in chapter 7, The Better Portfolios, the book talks about three big opportunities: helping poor households manage money on a day to day basis. Day to day management could lead to all kinds of products which may or may not be suitable considering where they are located, the use of agents. After all, if every poor household has to come to the bank and spend 10-15% of money being deposited, then obviously it is not going to work. So, which means that rather than the bank waiting for the customer, the bank has to send out somebody. And of course, Syndicate Bank and many other banks in India used to send daily collection agents, and some of the banks still do. Some of the banks stopped this service not because the service was not popular, but because they could not manage the agents. The fact is that products have to be tested and have to be affordable, reliable, and convenient to the customers we are trying to serve. A better understanding of who the customers are, how they are managing their money, and what are the challenges and tensions created by lack of financial services at the right time for these families would be extremely valuable for product designers to see how they can balance risk for the financial institution, cost for the financial institution, and meeting a genuine demand opportunity in the marketplace for the users of financial services.